Hello, this is Jeffrey Burke, co-chair of Studio Oaks Neighborhood Park Steering Committee.
And this is Bill Harmond. I also serve as co-chair of the Studio Oaks Neighborhood Park Steering Committee.
Thanks for taking the time to view this video slideshow, which the Park Steering Committee gave the community on January 28, 2009.
The Studio Oaks Neighborhood Park site is 2,000 feet long and 35 feet wide, populated by huge California oaks, sycamores, and other species.
For years, this urban greenery has been taken for granted by the commuters who drive past it. However, for those of us who live here, it carries the promise of something much better. The park will serve as a signature gateway to our neighborhood and an oasis with extensive new landscaping where residents can walk safely on a path protected from traffic. The Studio Oaks Neighborhood Park site lies on the south side of Ventura Boulevard between Fulton Avenue on the west and Van Noord on the east. A parallel side street, Little Ventura, runs along the side of the park to the south. I'll fly the park in here now so you can see it better. You can see the park is composed of 3 sections or panels. The panels have been in their current state and condition for many years. This is actually a photo from 1945. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, I'll draw an arrow so you can see it easier. You can see the park, and to the right you can see the Los Angeles River. Neighbors Fred and Carol Gans conceived the idea to improve the park in 2004. They often walked Little Ventura along the site and were concerned for their safety. As we all know, there is no sidewalk along the half-mile stretch of Little Ventura, which is used extensively as a shortcut by motorists to avoid slower traffic on the boulevard. In April 2004, the Gans presented their park idea publicly to the Studio City Residents Association.
Fred gained some momentum in August 2004 when he circulated a petition to improve the area. In July 2006, Jeff Burke and his family were involved in a near accident on Little Ventura. A car drove by and brushed Jeff, his wife Stephanie, and his youngest child who was in a stroller. Jeff decided then that the pedestrians needed a safe walking path through the trees. He contacted the SCRA and they put him in touch with Fred. In September, Fred and Carol and Jeff met for the first time and came up with a plan. They began to promote the park idea widely. Articles about the park appeared in local press and Jeff spread word through his network of neighborhood newsletters.
Early last year, Jeff and Joan Pellico, the area's field deputy in Council District 5, organized a meeting with nearly 50 leaders from our neighborhood, resident associations, neighborhood councils, service groups, and the business community to gauge community interest in developing the park. The energetic meeting demonstrated the will. Now we needed the proper planning and coordination.
After the meeting, a steering committee was drawn from those of us deeply involved in the community who expressed the most interest and the most commitment for the long haul. The committee members are Jeff Burke, Greenleaf Neighborhood Group Leader, Bill Harmond, Executive Director of Studio City Beautification, Matt Epstein and Jules Fear, Vice Presidents of Sherman Oaks Homeowners, Alan Taylor, Member of Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council, Francesca Cora, Director of Parkway Development for Studio City Beautification, and Michael Yagubi, Member of the Greenleaf Residents Group and park-facing resident with a helpful construction background. Our first concern was protecting and maintaining the trees. We met with Los Angeles Urban Forestry and they agreed to retain responsibility for the trees if we adopted the park site. Next, we sought the necessary formal support of Council District 5, Studio City and Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Councils and Residents Associations. In August, Greenleaf Watch, Studio City Residents Association, and the Neighborhood Council organized a block party on Little Ventura that raised funds. 400 to 500 people attended, including Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villagrosa, who expressed his support for the park concept. Seeing organization and community support for the park growing, Council District 5, under the lead of Joan Pellico, ordered a formal engineering scoping study of the park site to determine the park's physical viability. In September, the city presented its positive findings, together with a preliminary plan and rough budget numbers to the steering committee. With momentum growing and viability resolved, the steering committee next tackled the financing options. The first option the committee considered is the Los Angeles City Adopt a Median program, whereby a nonprofit corporation, established by us, would literally adopt the medians from the city. Urban Forestry would manage the trees under the deal we negotiated, but all other responsibilities would fall to this group to build out and maintain the park. The benefits of this arrangement are that we could build out private labor at prices generally lower than city costs. Another benefit is that financial involvement by each neighbor would be voluntary. However, the primary concern with Adopt a Median is also rooted in its voluntary makeup. There is no guarantee of sustained support and management continuity. Even Fred Gans, the park's original visionary, had moved out of Los Angeles. Another concern was the need for endless fundraising. The park is massive. Maintenance will require stable finances and constant supervision. Surprise repairs will require even more fundraising. We were also concerned by the pace of building out the park. Because donated funds would be generated slowly, the realization for the park would be a long process. In addition, the necessary corporate structure entails insurance and compliance costs. Ultimately, the committee determined that the voluntary adopt-a-median option was financially unstable and couldn't guarantee the park's future. The second option we considered was a neighborhood landscape assessment district. In 1972, the California Landscape and Lighting Act created the opportunity for communities to come together, organize, and make improvements for their own neighborhoods. Later, in 1996, Proposition 218 codified the protection of a ballot process by which the district could be created. The benefit of an assessment district is that the city will bid out and award the work in park construction and will perform ongoing maintenance. The neighborhood will still participate in the process. A committee will be formed, as they are in other parts of Los Angeles, to meet with the city and confer on maintenance performance. The cons of this option are that the fees would be fixed among property owners in the benefit area. We found this option clearly preferable to the adopt-a-median option. However, there was still the cost concern. A big surprise at the end of 2008 sealed our decision to recommend the assessment district option to you. In November, Jack Weiss and the LA City Council earmarked $375,000 of city services toward building out the park. This changed everything. The $375,000 would cover more than half the assessment district's capital costs and accelerate development. Thus, the earmark tipped the scale even further to our recommending the assessment district option to you. These earmarked funds raised the bar. The funds are here, now, and ready to go. We realized that we needed a serious, comprehensive plan to match. The earmark dramatically lowered assessment fees. The city will be able to start construction within the next year, greatly speeding up the timeline for the park. A Phase 1 and 2 scenario developed. The $375,000 earmark would finance Phase 1, and the assessment district would finance Phase 2 development, dovetailing behind the work of Phase 1.
The assessment district lines were drawn with the idea that the park serves as a signature gateway to our community, and we are the principal beneficiaries. Everyone who passes through the gates will realize benefit. Park beauty will improve the neighborhood and develop a meaningful sense of place. Quality of life will improve. Businesses will also benefit because the park will be more attractive. The assessment district shown here, proposed in consultation with the city's Bureau of Engineering, stretches from both sides of Ventura Boulevard to the end of Longridge, on the right of the map. At the top of the map is Coldwater Canyon. There is a small pocket of homes fronting Coldwater that wouldn't see the same benefits as the homes in the assessment district. At the bottom of the assessment district is Fulton, including homes on both sides of the street. There are roughly 420 homes in the proposed district, as well as 60 businesses on Ventura. Proposition 218 prescribes steps and protocols to form the district. The first step calls for a petition to be circulated. This petition will contain information, including specific costs, allowing the community to determine if they are interested in going forward with the park idea. This initial petition doesn't form the assessment district. The petition serves as preliminary evidence to the city that the community within the boundaries is serious about the park. Once the city sees the community's intent, it gets in gear, arranges a straw ballot whereby ballots are sent to everyone in the proposed district. If the straw ballot passes, the city would next perform work for the final Proposition 218 assessment district ballot.